Here we go. It's time for another sprint zone. This one's for 7/8/2025, and it's a good sized crew. I had made my usual, or maybe semi usual speech early on about people riding handlebar to handlebar. I'd gotten a little tired, and it it just doesn't look good, and it's not safe or as safe to have people half wheeling. And so in the beginning of the rides, it always looks pretty good. And this is in the beginning. Pretty much people are handlebar to handlebar and being a little more mindful, which I think is a good thing. It looks good. The width between the handlebars could be a little more consistent, but I don't want to be that pedantic just yet. I will wait until these guys look like a pro team before I start insisting that we do better. Like one of the things, and of course, this is near the end of the County Road 5 stretch where people are slowing down. But a lot of times I'll be in the double pace line and people in front of me are doing pedal, pedal, coast, pedal, pedal, coast, pedal, pedal, coast, pedal, pedal, coast. If you've got to do that, you're too close. Back off another inch or two till you can still keep pedaling, even if you're throwing down 20, 30 watts. It's better for you because it means you're too close, and that means you got to be using the brake. And that means it's not going to be that steady. And that kind of ripples back through the group. But I digress. In any case, I would like to take the time now to thank Dustin for his telemetry. First time caller, long time listener, so to speak, and first time he will be bearing it all. Looking back, the rules of engagement have in fact been met. Looking rearward, we see Vong back there in the Dayglow yellow helmet, XTTH rider, nicknamed Shortcut, because, well, most of the time he wouldn't make the whole ride and he'd have to take a shortcut. And I was usually like with him. Looking up the road there, we've got Dustin and Enrique tapping out good tempo. And there was a little bit of lethargy. People didn't want to go right away, but we need to get up there. Dean taking up the mantle, and it looks like maybe we're starting to do a little bit of rotation as Dean comes over. But I think Tony has different ideas about this, that he's going to just bring them back on his own. So I'm going to ride Tony's coattails on the way up. And my power's looking good. Like, this isn't super easy. 30-second power looks like 237. Dustin's 30-second power with 260. And we were creeping up on him, and our power's about the same, but we had to do some work there. Finally settling in. My cadence is good. And we're starting to get somewhat organized here. And this is really nice. We got, Enrique and Dustin up front, looking rearward. We got Greg, got Felix, Jacob back there in the turquoise, Michael there in the, oh, it looks like that orange that those candies come in, those little butterscotch orange, yeah. And everyone's pretty good. We're not taking up too much road. There's like some jocularity going there. I can see by the smiles on Felix and Jacob's face that they are indeed enjoying themselves. Isla hanging in back there, and she's usually not one to hang in this year for safety reasons. But that's a good thing that she's becoming more comfortable hanging in closer to the group. Because like when you get to the level of cycling that we are, it's not so much all about strength. A lot of it is about skill. And a lot of the skills that we should be practicing, the bumping drills or riding a little closer together, like Tony and Dean are there, that's like perfect. That these are skills that need to be practiced, need to be honed, and it needs to be like a reflex. In any case, up front, Enrique and Dustin tapping out good tempo, good speed, 25 miles an hour. Dustin's wattage, 270, 280, 300 as we come up on this little bend, which is a slight grade. Doesn't even register on the grade meter that I've got in the lower right hand there. But in any case, it's there. Side by side. And at this point, I was kind of expecting people to be stringing this out. There's a lot of wattage. Look at Dustin's wattage now. 370, 380, and going side to side, head to head with Enrique there. I don't know if that was a little bit of Johnson swinging there to see who was going to crack first. But Dustin is indeed strong. So here we go, moving along really soon. And at some point, I know Enrique makes the little elbow wiggle to get people to come through. Not just yet, but it is going to happen. And it's like subtle. I noticed it. So keeping it right on, a look at Enrique's left elbow here, sitting in. And I know any moment here, at least that's what I recall, that there was an elbow wiggle. And yep, and there it goes. A couple of elbow wiggles. And what happened? So Dustin takes over at this point, and Enrique could have backed off just a little bit. The speed did not really come down. Okay, there it comes down, and then Dustin goes to the front. Now, if I were Dustin, I would have just pulled over in front of Enrique. You've already pulled almost a mile and a half, but he keeps the power down. In fact, increases the power. This is impressive as far as strength, but tactically, extremely questionable. So we look at Dustin 30-second power. It's well over 300 and wow, look at that. 340, 345, 350 watts. He's up front. And, you know, that is super impressive as Enrique fades back. And Tony has a little bit of trouble grabbing the wheel. Dean is on the wheel, but not as close as he could be, but he's pulling that back. My 30-second power, 252. So unless, you know, Dustin is actually a super, this could be burning a lot of matches. So he wiggles the elbow, but goes to the left. Technically, he should have stayed where he was, and Tony should have passed him on the left. You always wiggle the elbow to the side that you want people to pass you on. And there is a little bit of wind coming off of our right shoulder, so that's what should have happened. It's so slight that it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but the elbow wiggle should have been on the other side, and that will just be a lesson learned there. Felix looking strong back there on my wheel. Dustin slots back in there nicely. Enrique is tapped in there nicely. And it looks like we have a little bit of a selection as I can look way back there and see that there have been riders that have been dispatched. Well done, Dustin, because that's what you really want to do. Like a lot of that energy that was wasted early on with Enrique and Dustin side by side, that horsepower could have been combined in a line with a 1-2 punch and created a little more of a selection here. And that would have been good. Made the sprint zone, made the number of people you have to deal with a lot smaller. As it is, there is a reasonable contention here, and some people you might not want to be bringing along. And there's the attack. Enrique goes hard here, and I probably should have gotten his telemetry. And he said that was over 1,000 watts that he had put out to make that gap. And here we go. People are starting to chase him. It looks like Dustin going up there. Felix, it looks like Dean is not going to be able to hold the wheel here. I thought to myself, I'm not feeling too bad. Heart rate 169. I had a little bit to go, but I was planning on doing Old Fall River Road tonight. So I was not going to commit to anything. I was just going to like do my part, keep everything kind of reasonable and not waste a lot of muscle here. Muscular endurance is what I want to save for tonight. In any case, Jacob looking strong. He missed the boat. Riding my coattails for just a little bit to get a little bit of a breather as he comes by. And even my wattage, like 30-second, 230, 240, I'm actually riding really well. Surprise. And there we go. Dustin is off. And now we'll talk about what we call the divide and conquer. So Jacob's got good power. Felix is up the road with good power. Dustin had good power. None of it combined. And this is exactly what I'd like to see if I were Enrique. Divide and conquer. You don't want the strong men combining their strength. You want them divided. And this is exactly what has happened. People going off all cowboy. Yeah, I haven't said that since the days of Andy Lockwood. In any case, Felix has gone off all cowboy. And I'm thinking to myself, there's hubris here. You're going to go after the strongest guy in the group alone. Yeah, that's right. I would like to know what it was that you were smoking or drinking or whatever. Or it's just the lack of experience in racing, the lack of savvy. Not to disrespect you because you are strong. Unfortunately, might does not always make right here. And had you and Jacob and Dustin combined, it would have been much, much, much better. Because you can see Enrique, he's just kind of up there. But now the people here are just kind of gassed. And here we go. So Jacob goes straight through, not looking for any help from Felix. Mistake number 2, more hubris. There's hubris all over the place. And I'm like, okay, I could have gone with him, but at this point, definitely saving myself. Felix is kind of gassed. He's probably going to sit back here for a little while. He's going to go off all cowboy again, too. But that's okay. It's learning. There are no prizes here, and they are not my teammates or anything. It would be different if they were, because there'd be a little powwow afterwards, working together. And here we go. Felix goes, and he makes a little bit of an acceleration to make him, get up to Jacob. Nice move. He should have gone a little slower if he wanted my help, because he didn't know I was saving myself for tonight. But here we go, another cowboy move. And he didn't need to, he should have at least said, hey, you coming, Steve? But no, it's all individual effort. And of course, this is just my opinion and my take. But this is what I'm thinking, while this is actually happening. So now, everybody's way far back there. I'm in no man's land. Don't really want to care. Turning off the warp drive. My heart rate's at 171, but actually I was feeling okay. So I was just let's just keep these guys honest, keep a good tempo. I don't really want anybody behind me to catch. And this is going to be good enough so I will not fry myself for tonight. If I had to go out any further, there would have been some muscular damage. And you never know what's going to happen on the Old Fall River Road ride that is hosted by Mike Weber. There are strong men that show up, and then they want to rip everybody's legs off because they're always talking, because they're bike racers, oh, I'm going to just take it easy. I'm tired. This is not a race, blah, blah, blah. And then they just take off. Yeah, that's how bike racers do, and I can read their language. In fact, I think Gail Bernhardt a long time ago had a translation list of things that bike racers said and then what that really meant. In any case, just don't believe them. I mean, you can believe me because I'm an honest guy, honest Steve's used cars. But some of these other folks, no. And if you follow any psychology, anything on YouTube, any papers or whatever, actions speak louder than words. So pretty much just ignore anything anybody says. Look at what they do, and that will tell you everything you need to know. In any case, I'm in no man's land here. It's not really all that exciting. I should probably just fast forward through a lot of this because you're probably tired of listening to my rambling. So I'm going to just maybe scooch this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Nothing exciting happening here. Nothing else exciting happening here. Oh, and there goes Dean, who pulled me in. There was a chance that Dean was going to be doing the Old Fall River Road ride with me tonight also, but hadn't decided at this point. In any case, we do a full stop for the first time in a long time. And that was good. I think a good time was had. Congratulations, Enrique, for that one. A good time was had by all.